everyone. Welcome to my podcast, Soul Expansion and Inspiration. This is Series 2, Episode 14, and my name is Allie O'Shea. Today, I would like to give a very warm welcome to my special guests, Rachel and Clint Proud. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. How you going? Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're so welcome. So whereabouts in Australia are you guys?
We're currently in Newcastle at a place called Stockton Beach in our caravan, and you're about to meet our 2-year-old son that will be joining us on this amazing interview.
Well, as we just said before we started the interview, that's life and life on the road, and I'm sure the listeners would understand that, you know, life as a family happens. Essentially.
Yeah,
so what's your little man's name?
So this is Ned. Ned's 2 years old, and he was actually born while we were travelling. So he's a true gypsy through and through.
Yeah,
say hello.
Sorry, he's coming to say hello.
There he is. Say hi, Allie. There. This is life on the road.
This is what happened.
On the road. Well, that's
yeah. I will. I'll do my best to just put him down for 1 second, and then I will be back.
All right, no problem. So, you guys are traveling around, as you just said, traveling around, living the life of your dreams, and you have a business called Holistic Health Haven.
Yes.
Yeah. In this day and age, it's so easy for people to find so many reasons not to embrace their spiritual, emotional wellness journey. And that's your mission to help people to discover the one reason that they can and will find themselves, you know, through that journey for themselves and their families. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have been many things in our lives, I still say short lives together. And I think, you know, at times in our own life, you can sway from your path and your truth, and it can become quite chaotic. I think for us coming to this business and the reason why we called it, or I dreamt up the name Holistic Health Haven, was because it's always going to look different to everyone. And the reason why everyone is radiating towards the light, or I guess towards like-minded people, will always be different, but at the core it's about coming back together, coming back to yourself, and realizing that everyone's worthy of a beautiful life. So you know, we try to not box ourselves in any one stereotype. I think we don't like to sort of glorify busy at all, and I think we try and truly live and breathe our virtues, I guess, of what we want to be and want to help others become in life, and just slow down a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So, Clint, let's start with you. The death of your friend Tim at the age of 18 left you spiraling out of control and asking big questions, and your spiritual journey started flowing from there.
Yeah, it did. So, you know, I lived a relatively normal, I guess, upbringing up till the point of, you know, meeting Rachel. So I met Rachel when I was 17, and a lot of my life. Yeah, exactly. We've done it all together now. But when we initially met, you know, we were obviously two separate worlds, and my world was wrapped, like, you know, extensively wrapped up with my friends and my family, and Tim O'Brien was a big part of my world, a best friend. So you know, when I met Rachel a few months prior to his passing, it allowed me to get a connection with Rachel on a different level that I guess made that separation a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But what that also allowed for me to do was I personally began a journey, you know, looking for those sort of bigger answers and those sort of understandings and concepts around life and my own spirituality, you know, and where this all fit into it all, and trying to come to grips with what had happened. A lot of it was grief and, you know, some things that you have to work through in those times. But thankfully I had my wife, and we explored a lot of stuff together, and we especially for myself, I was able to get through all that, and yeah, that's when it all sort of began for me.
Beautiful. And you say that Rachel, when she met you first, she was only 15. Is that right, Rachel? You were 15?
Yeah.
You were
turning 16.
You were 16 or
turning.
Yeah, you were 16. I was 17, turning 18.
Yeah.
And she was 16 to turn 17. Yeah, something like
that.
But you, Rachel, you said that you kind of knew you were going to marry Clint, that he was, you know, the one, you know, from the first time that you saw him. And you turned around and you said to him that you'd already lived 3 lifetimes together.
Yeah, that mightn't have been the smartest move for a teenage girl to tell her teenage guy that, but you know, I went all in. It's a funny story. I think, you know, for most of my life, I just know, I've just always, I feel it with every fibre of my being that's home, that's safe. And I actually was watching him at a skate park and said to my girlfriend, "Who's the guy in the red shirt?" And she said, "That's Clinton Proud." And I said, "I'll marry him one day." Aww. And she laughed. And then I went and it was 2 weeks later we actually met. And a couple of days after that I said, "By the way, we've been together at least 3 lifetimes." So yeah. And he stayed after I picked him up off the floor. He passed out. No, I'm only joking.
No.
And how did you feel about it at the time? Did you think she was just a little bit cuckoo?
Yeah, well, like, it came sort of naturally, not the stereotype, but it came with the red hair.
Hey, we've got 2 of us.
She was a little bit of a firecracker, and yeah, you know, she changed my world. So yeah, I was open to anything that she brought to the table. She was she was a blessing, that's for sure.
I can see that through your posts. I've seen you write posts about her, and they're full of love and admiration. So it's a beautiful relationship. So you say that a few weeks after, oh no, sorry, I'm going back to my previous question there. But Rachel, you said that your mom always allowed you to embrace your inner voices and your dreams, and as early on as you can remember. And you say that you can decipher dreams, but you only disclose them if you feel called to do so.
Yeah. So, that's something that's it's been I guess, you know, I feel very blessed to have had a childhood where talking about spirits and talking about dreams and visiting mediums and things like that was quite the norm. So it was never taboo in our house and our home. If anything, it was celebrated, which is great. But I think from a very young age, I recognised the synchronicities between my dreams and the real world. And I, you know, began to develop an awareness of things well ahead of time, and processing that, obviously, as a young girl was interesting. As I got older, I think I realised that the more I was able to decode what the messages were in my dreams, it was really comforting throughout the times in my life that I was pushed off course or, you know, went down a different path. But for me personally, dreams are everyone's capable, you know, and I think everyone's got this amazing ability to tap into this world when our eyes close. And if you listen and if you document your dreams, you will begin to understand your own dream language. And that's something I've always been passionate about, but I'm very particular about whether or not it's I don't withhold information if it's clear and concise, and if I am drawn and compelled to tell people, I do. And there's been a lot of times in my life, and especially with Clint's work, that I've freaked people out quite a little bit, but it's always for the greater good. And I think that I'm you know, so blessed every night before I close my eyes to be, I guess, a vehicle of some kind of connection to people, back to themselves and their intuition. So yeah.
That's beautiful. So do you keep a dream journal then?
Yeah, I have many. It started with a little book next to my bed, and I used to just write a few words and what I could remember. and it's evolved. I've had many, being an Aquarian, I like pretty things, and I've had many leather diaries next to my bed. I think, to be honest, there was a time there where I guess I got really afraid that it might stop. So I was documenting, diarising so much, and I understood then that when I look back, like I said, those synchronicities and the language and representations in dreams that are so innate in who I am, it's easy to decipher now. So I can wake up and think about it and not necessarily have to depend on writing as much these days, because it's a second language now. But I always pay attention to my dreams, good, bad, or otherwise. So.
It was definitely a lot of nights I'd wake up thinking, why is the light on, or why is the phone light on, and what is she doing? She's just leaning over the bed, just writing on the.
I'm like, don't touch me.
The notepad. She's like, hang on, I got to get this down. Or, it'll be pick up the phone and she'll be putting it into a phone. I'm like, who are you texting? No one. I just got to write this down before I forget.
I often text myself, especially if I don't haven't put my book next to my bed. I send messages to myself. Yeah.
One of my questions was, do you wake up in the middle of the night and write them down, or do you wait till the next morning?
So there's been circumstances, without going into too much crazy detail, where, it has to be done right then and there. And I often feel, and every person I've ever spoke to in my life that has a gift, quote unquote, because I believe we all do have that one thing that, we're really great at and really able to help other people with. But, that one gift for me, I know I sometimes feel unworthy of it, to be honest, because I just feel like it's so pure and true. And the nights that I've woken up and Clint was at work, and I've rang him and I said, you need to listen. If I say you need to listen, I'm not kidding. And especially, I guess, with those people, those core people in your life, that I'm truly safe to tell all and disclose all. It has in some circumstances, got Clint out of a bit of trouble, sticky situations, helped friends in need, given people direction. So those really cool ones will wake me up, and once the message is out, I can go straight back to sleep. It's not a problem. Yeah. Just good to get out.
That's pretty cool. I haven't heard of that many people sort of having that particular gift. Obviously, we all dream, and we can all wake up like that in the middle of the night, or be woken up with a jolt, and maybe perhaps we're meant to write them down. And we just
well, I think that's the thing. Like, it's just understanding, and I guess, like I said, I've always been so interested in other people. I'm a massive people watcher. Like, it's my favorite thing to do. But I also observe myself, because I think that, I'm super weird at times, and I pay attention to those little. It's great. And I pay attention to those little things, or those niggling thoughts. And, my younger brother's girlfriend, I'm very connected to certain people, and my brother's one of them. And, I sent him an inbox on Messenger. I woke up one night, there's this girl, her name is Brie, this is the song, because I often get song lyrics, and lo and behold, quite a while later, he's with a beautiful girl called Brie, and, it's all matching that song lyric. So it's just a beautiful thing. But what these kinds of things, I truly believe, do, when everyone has an aha moment or an intuitive moment, they just reaffirm that you are in the exact right place in your life right now. And speaking of that, you put up a post today. Ned's taken my phone, but you put up a post and it had a picture of a car in it. Yeah. And I was saying to Clint in the car, okay, so how are you feeling about tonight? Well, it's today there with you, but we were just chatting, and I said, I'm really feeling drawn and really grateful to this opportunity. And I looked on your page, and on that car, the number plate was 586. So they're my life numbers. They're my guiding numbers. And I laughed, because I thought, what are the chances? So
I love
if you're paying attention and you're open to trusting that the universe has your back, the signs are there. Yeah.
I mean, what a great synchronicity.
Yeah,
it is.
I love
that's what we're in. One great big synchronicity.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it. So you have intuitive gifts, obviously, and that they come through really in your dreams, Rachel. So that's absolutely brilliant. And it's been your passion to bridge a gap for men to become more in touch with their emotional health. You were a detective on the police force, quite a change to what you're doing now. And what was the driving force that led you to leave the job that you had done as a detective on the police force over there?
Yeah, so look, I think, you know, everyone kind of, well, you know, we've always sort of been drawn to you know, careers of service and life of service, trying to do some things that, you know, really, I guess, you know, you leave at the end of the day feeling like you've helped.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you've actually made an impact. So from the detective's role where I was there, I actually finished up in a role with the child abuse squad. So it was my, you know, part of our job involved children and working with them daily, and really it was for me a place where not a lot of other people, I guess, really enjoyed the idea of going there. But for me, it was a great challenge. It was a great opportunity to really push myself, you know, beyond the comfort zones and all that sort of stuff, and really make an impact there in their lives while I could, and do a good job of that. But obviously, we've had this dream for us to travel the country and work in this line of work for a long time. So over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, we've been manifesting this life that we now live, and now our choice to bring our children home from school and school them and travel this great country doing so. But also, as part of that, was establishing this holistic health haven that Rachel was you know, already in the process of building to the point where we're at now. So when time came for us to go, well, sort of in the years lead up, all things, all as you was talking of synchronicities, everything falls into place as it should, and it did for us. We managed to build a business to a successful point where we were financially stable enough to not rely on my income. So that allowed us to move on to what we're doing now, and it also allowed me to step into the business 100% instead of, you know, being 80% a detective and 20% a father, or 15% a father and then 5% in this business. So to step out of the detective role, which I did love, and it filled up a lot of cups, but it was very demanding and very taxing at the same time. So to be able to walk away from that and become, you know, the father I always wanted to be, and the husband I always wanted to be, and the support network for our team, our business that I wanted to be, it was a necessary part of the step. But it was also, you know, always the end game for us. It was always the bigger picture thing. We always anticipated us doing this and living this way. So really, the driving point for leaving wasn't necessarily any one thing. It was more the held vision and the combined vision of us really reaching this goal and doing what we're doing. So I can, so we can step in, and now we get to serve. I get to serve from another point of view. I get to serve, you know, people in our business that are here wanting to walk their walk and shine their light on the world, and, you know, do great things for themselves and their family and their friends. So we get to play a big role in helping them do that and achieve that. And not to mention, you know, the lives we get to touch as we travel. You know, we've set this up in a way that we can travel Australia and still serve, and we meet new people all the time, and we are in a position to serve a need for them. So it's one great big revolutionary wheel of service that we're currently living in. So it really was a no-brainer to leave behind a police force career and step into this life that we now live, because it's full of joy and happiness and service ultimately. So,
and that shines from within, from both of you, I have to say. So that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm, you know, like you to explain a little bit about your business to everybody that's listening, so they know exactly what it is. It's called Holistic Health Haven, and I know a lot of you deal with essential oils, but you also do one-to-ones with people. You do workshops. with small groups and larger groups. You want to explain a little bit more about how your business works and more about what's entailed within it?
Yeah. So basically, when doTERRA essential oils first landed in our world, it was when we were predominantly at our lowest in terms of energy, health, and vitality, and what we had to offer our family. To I guess condense that time in our life, Clint was heavily invested in his career. I was running a preschool from home, so children were always massive part of what we did. But our combined dream, as Clint said, and every spare minute of every day, we were both envisioning the life we live now. So that was that, in creation. But in terms of what we actually, when the oils landed in our lives, I never anticipated it being a business. It's a direct selling industry. I had a lot of resistance around that, massive resistance around MLM, like to the point where I purposefully built, I shared the oils because they transformed our physical health. I educated myself on how we can minimize harsh medications and toxins in our lives and throughout our preschool, and it was a natural progression for me to share this beautiful gift. So therefore, as I'm enjoying it and living in joy, more people walk towards me. Yeah. But then, as I said, I had massive resistance around the structure of what was. So for me, it was a process of me making peace with my own worthiness to live an extraordinary life. I felt I've always been self-employed. I always have run my own preschool, run my own photography business. I just had to find a way that this was going to be meaningful on a much deeper level than just a superficial level. I didn't want to be a recreation of the same wheel. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. So I purposefully shared doTERRA, meaning the gifts of the earth, and helped people transform their health and emotional health because I wanted to. But I intentionally built the business the model of the business backwards. So I purposefully sabotaged any chance of me ever making any income, which was quite interesting, and I'm very proud of that, because what it did was it showed where my integrity laid in that beginning, and it was serving people and helping them see that we do have choices in life. We are not any one stereotype, so I do not advocate modern medicine. I do not like, it's one thing to me. It's holistic, and that's where one night in bed I sat up and I said, I've got it. I can create a space for everyone to feel safe and welcome, regardless of where you come from in your life or health. And if we come together as one and we all bring what we're good at, we will all have this community to thrive from. So how I made peace with that was knowing that it was okay to be me. It was okay to put my spin on it and the colour on it, and I actually fell in love with the virtues of doTERRA as a company, and the change they're making in the world matched my integrity. So that was the process. How we implement that now, and we have wholesale access. That's what we offer to people, and that means that they can fall into our education network, and we teach them on alternative, how to implement alternative health into their home and lives. My area of passion is always around children and their emotions, and emancipating mums from sickness and the cycles of sickness and things like that. So predominantly one-on-one, because I feel like I can make that impact. Thanks to technology, we're on Zooms a lot. We talk to a lot of people over the phone and help them create their own wellness plan that matches their needs. In that time of people walking towards us, the businesses that aligned with that mentality, that natural health, yoga centers, massage therapists, kinesiologists, they all appreciated a very frank version, I guess, and a very all cards on the table. So we work with people in business that want to walk with us in business. The majority of what we do is just serving humanity and saying, we're here if you need us. So that happens in person, online. Workshops differ. They differ from family health to children's emotional well-being, homeschooling hacks, for helping people their children stay focused and really get the most out of homeschooling their children. So the topics and the ways we can help people are endless, and it's always led by our customers. So
yeah, it's 100% met by
Meeting
whatever
people's
need
needs.
is what comes to you. You know,
Yeah.
they'll approach or reach out and say, this is a particular thing I might be having some problem with, and that's what we address. It's,
Beautiful. I love it. I have to say, myself and Paul went to live in Australia about 7 years ago for to see if we would stay, but it didn't work out. We stayed there for 3 months in Pemberton.
Wow. Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, we stayed there for 3 months in Pemberton. And yeah, so, but we homeschooled our kids while we were there. And
wow.
I have to tell you, I would never, ever do it again. So hats off to you.
That's the ironic thing. Like we think what we're doing is just that. Well, it is for us the most fascinating thing. Like every single moment of my busyness running a childcare centre with 27 families, Clint hardly got to see our children, always at work. And every spare second I said, when you're thinking about nothing, think about life in a caravan. Picture what it will sound like, what it will feel like, the places we'll visit. So we're recreating this dream together. But to other people, it's the idea of living hell, being trapped in a tin can with 3 kids. Like, but to us, we're like, this is heaven. Like, we love it. So it's all relative, and that's why it's really hard for us to box in one ball or one paragraph what we do, because when people walk towards us, it's about their life, not ours. It's about their needs, not ours. So it's this, and you'd know that in your line of work as well, it's a constant reevaluation where you're learning from each other's experiences. Yeah, for sure. So you guys are close personal friends with a friend of mine, Jason Stevenson. I just got to ask you the question, how you guys met. Oh, I love that man, honestly.
He's very beautiful man.
He's very, very well loved in the world. So it's a funny story. The little town we're from is a place called Windang on the New South Wales south coast. And my little brother Billy, who I just spoke about before, he's in a band called Hockey Dad.
Okay, now it's making.
And that's my brother Billy, and Zach is Jason Stevenson's nephew. So there's that link. But in terms of Windang, I don't know how big the town is that you're from, but if anything happens in Windang, everyone knows about it. So it's a beautiful small town where it's just community, everyone knows everyone. So our families are close, and I've observed Jace for many years, and we became closer in definitely the last 5 years. He's rocked our world, and he's someone I call on very regularly for advice and a laugh, and definitely keeps me sane.
He's travelled a lot of Australia with us.
Yeah.
He's always on in our caravan. We use him for sleep, and in the cars for his mindful meditations.
But there was one night in the middle of, I think we're along the Great Ocean Road, and we put it on the speakers in the caravan because the boys say, "Where's Jace? Where's Jace?" We'll put him on. But I had the speaker on external. I didn't realise, so the whole free camp went to sleep to Jason's guided meditation, and I was
beautiful, peaceful.
CD player's not working, and it was on outside. And the irony was there was a beautiful couple outside that was like, "That was so nice," like it was so, and I'm like, "Oh, you're welcome." So he's always with us.
That's hilarious. Yeah, no, he's great with his advice, and he's got such a great sense of humor. So So we'll send it to Jason if he's watching. I'm sure he probably will. So you say, guys, that you want to show your boys that you are only limited by your imagination. As we know, you believe that their self-worth and self-confidence will play a huge part in their impact on this world, and you are extremely passionate about empowering the next generation, which is beautiful. You teach them about random acts of kindness, which I'm a huge advocate for as well. I've got a group on Facebook called Global Random Acts of Kindness. So I love that about you guys. And of course, it's like a ripple effect. Once we, it's like that paying it forward, isn't it? And you say you complicate life so that you can truly live it. That's absolutely beautiful. And I know you've got your 3 boys there, and you sound like such amazing parents. and such a great example to other people.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I think that at the same, like with our boys, it's been becoming a mother and having these, being so responsible. We're always, and parents, we're always our own harshest critics. And I think, we've never been perfect, but we were better than we were yesterday. And one of the things I love about living in this small environment, even though I think we were pretty okay parents before this, but the whole reason we wanted to be so present with our boys is so we were fully accountable in our actions and emotions as well. And when you live in this environment, like our bed's there, kitchen table, this is also our office, kitchen, toilet, bed, that's it. When you live here, nothing goes under the rug, nothing is swept away, everything is dealt with very much as it happens, live streams. And even this morning, we have moments where, we're losing control of our emotions and we're using our oils to bring us back to being grounded. But this morning, one of our lessons in homeschooling was on remorse, and I said, do you know what the word remorse means? Because I was feeling that, and those boys, 8 and 11, said, no, we don't actually know what that word means, but they can display it. But it was like this simple moment where I thought there's so much still to teach. You teach them about what you say and do, and they watch you stop and, hand money to the homeless man and hold his hand and talk to him. They're watching constantly and learning from what we do. But when you look at emotions and how we express emotions, like that one simple word is a life tool. So we spent all morning talking about remorse, and I thought they're the parts that are so important that I think, sadly the system skips over. And there's a lot of blame in this world, and it's like there needs to be equal amount of accountability as well. So
we definitely had in Leon he was
firecracker.
He's a lot of energy. He is our little lit up boy, that's for sure. I'm sure if you've seen anything of our online presence, he is full of energy. But he is also someone, he spent 6 months in kindergarten. That's all he got. And kindergarten's like the first school leg over here in Australia, the first time they're sent to school all day.
Prep.
And his nature is he'll be, and I think we often say this, he would be the best whatever you told him he was. So he would be the best good kid if you told him he was a good kid, but he'd also be
the best clown,
the best bad kid if he was labelled that. And a big part about us, wanting to leave that is because we could see that we wouldn't be able to settle for the fact that they could be put in that box, and they'd assume that label is theirs to hold on to until they work it out for themselves 15 years down the track that they don't have to fit that label.
It's like, we're all trying to, we don't want them to be the world to tell them who they are. And that's what we saw happening, and it happened to us too. And that's the thing, like the world was telling us who we were, and we were feeling energetically drained and squashed and busy and glorifying busy and all this that didn't have to be. So we had to walk and emancipate ourselves from that. And for me, it was like, if you looked at an analogy, it really was someone like both our boys at the time with hearts of gold and personalities to spare, sitting in a classroom where they didn't feel comfortable expressing themselves, too afraid to put their hands up to ask a question out of fear of being embarrassed, all that sort of stuff. And now we're on the road doing, being in them in this environment constantly. It's watching their little hearts and minds expand to that unlimitedness of the universe, and their confidence in holding conversations and owning their behaviours. And I mean, they're still kids. They'll have a good punch up every now and again, don't get me wrong, but at the core of it all,
did they get on actually?
But it's funny, I wrote a 3 months into our trip was the world's biggest realization for me, that I had band-aided a lot of things in our life, and we'd set off, we'd condensed everything was just, like I said, no emotion goes unexpressed in a caravan. And 3 months in, I actually wrote a blog, and I said what they don't tell you about life in a van at that time, because I had a complete and utter meltdown. What I seen was the exact opposite of what I thought I had in my children, and that was constantly needing, they had lost the ability to be present without being stimulated. So it was like they'd forgotten how to play, like literally they'd forgotten to look out the door and go, oh, I see a stick, oh, I see a rock, or we could build a covey there. It was that natural curiosity that was zapped right out of them. And at the time, what were they, 2 years ago, so whatever they were, 9 and 6 or how good did I do then? 9 and 6. But it was heartbreaking as a mum to watch, because I guess the illusion was they had it all, right? They had a mum, a dad with a career, a mum with a business. They had every gadget under the sun. They had a house, but they didn't know who they were. They couldn't interact without our refereeing them, and it was heartbreaking. So from that moment on, I went cold turkey, ripped all the gadgets out, had a mum tantrum, like massive. And it was horrendous, but it was also beautiful, because
it was necessary.
I said to them, I'm sorry. I met them, and I got down on the floor with them and met them eye to eye and said, let's learn how to play again. So don't get me wrong, they still have technology, most of their, research and Google and all that. But at the core of it all, they've found that accountability as a human again, as an independent little man on earth. Yeah. And that's what I believe will help them in life, because they're not going to get to 30, like Clint said, and go, oh, wait, what's remorse, or what's emotion? Like, how do I express my sadness to my wife? So I've talked about it forever.
Technology is such a big thing these days, but Abraham Hicks actually talks about it, when we talk about the rainbow children and the crystal children and the indigo children, and how they knew before they came in that technology was actually going to be a big part of their life. So I get it, because I've got a 17-year-old son and I've got a 4-year-old daughter, and they're actually on summer holidays since yesterday. God save my soul.
Praise the Lord.
For 3 months. So until September, they are on holidays until September.
Oh my God!
That's a long holiday.
Wow! I don't know what I'd do with myself.
I know. I think I might have to send them to Rachel, Marie, and Clint.
Yeah,
to travel around in a caravan.
Yeah, tell them to bring a swag. We love doing that. We have many a visitor come and share the campsite.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
it's a long. Believe you me, it's a long, long time.
Yeah.
Especially when they're teenagers. So,
Yeah.
So, is there any one thing that you would like to leave the listeners with? Any one piece of advice from either of you, or from both of you individually, if you want to, send out to the world?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I think for me personally, I have said it a little bit earlier in the program, but I think one of the things that is the hardest to bear is someone not feeling like they have the capacity to show the world who they are. We are born, what we were saying before, Deepak, when he says we're all born with that one thing, that one gift to share the universe. And I think what happens is we can be tricked into this grand illusion of comparison, especially young girls looking and seeking and wanting more and thinking it's just, if I get that, if I get the latest phone, the newest car, or the greatest job, then I'll be happy. And I think if you have time in your life to make yourself a priority, it's never too late to start. It's there's so many ways that we can look at why not. I can't because I'm busy. I can't attend this or listen to books or invest in my health because life is so busy. But find that one reason that you have to and that you want to, and that usually comes down to health, emotional well-being, and your family. So don't take what other people say as gospel and listen to your heart, because usually the answers are within you. So that's my one piece. That was 1,000 pieces, but yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to her, because she is amazing. But I guess my one thing I would say is, well, just not to, don't take it all too seriously, and don't try to put yourself into any one box. You know, you stay flexible. I think by trying to confine yourself into any one way of, you know, thinking, or one profession, or one, you know, one mold, all you're really doing is limiting the opportunity for the universe to deliver you something you're seeking.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's all I'd like to say on that.
That's beautiful, guys. Thank you so much. And would you like to let everybody know where the best place to contact you and avail of your services is?
Oh, yeah, sure. We're on Facebook as Holistic Health Haven. You'll see our faces there. Our website is www.ourhealthhaven.com, and just reach out and drop us a line, say good day, and if there's anything either physically or emotionally, or your interests are there, we are happy to send samples out for you to experience and welcome you into our world.
There's there's a whole world of information out there, and we're happy to send it out wherever it needs to go and to whoever needs to see it. So
all meant to see it.
Yeah, all meant to see it. That's right.
Thank you so much for this time. It's been incredible. Like, you know, the universe has helped us collide, and we're super grateful. And who knows, we might pop over and visit you one day.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. I love that. In the caravan?
Yeah, we'll bring the caravan over on a boat. Yeah.
It's a bit of a heavy vehicle to be going on an airplane, but
Yeah.
We've got our travel page as well, which is Proud Aussie Adventures. That's on Facebook, but that's just a bit of a laugh because that's how we stay sane. So you're welcome to look at that as well.
That's the insight into our life. It's like our journal, our travel journal. It's just online. So it just saves us having to write it down. We just document it there. Yeah, a little side gig.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate both of you being here, for your time and your presence, and for the gifts that you share with the world. Thank you so much, Rachel and Clint.
We thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Listeners, and thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Yay.